Hey everyone, today's video is going to be a design news episode talking all about the hot topic this week in design land and internet land in general, Instagram's new icon and app design. Now whenever an app that a lot of people love makes a big change like this, people do tend to freak out because change is scary and it's not what they're used to. But right now in this video we're just going to calmly and objectively review the design changes. The biggest change, of course, is the icon. Now, Instagram's icon had gotten a lot of flack for a while for being very skeuomorphic, which is a term that means when something is designed to digitally look like its real-world counterpart. So, for example, the old yellow lined paper in the iPhone Notes app, and of course the old Instagram icon used to look like a Polaroid camera. A while ago, the UI of the Instagram app was redesigned to look quite flat and be very current, but the icon stayed the same, which was interesting when they did that. And they got a lot of, complaints about that. People thought it was weird, but now the icon has been changed and simplified, and a lot of people are not happy with the change. In general, people don't really like change. It puts us out of our comfort zone, and especially when it's an app that you use every single day perhaps and you're used to seeing on your home screen. It is going to take a while to get used to this icon and recognize it as Instagram. To me right now, this icon just looks like a generic camera app because there isn't any of the things that I visually identified as being Instagram left in it. They do say that they got the gradient in the background of the app from the rainbow that was on top of the camera, but I mean, even though that's where they got the idea from, I don't think it looks particularly visually connected. That's where a lot of this, reaction to the changes come from, is that people don't recognize it and it doesn't feel like the app they love. And they will get used to it over time, but it's just so visually different that it doesn't feel that way right now. Let's just set that gradient aside for a second and break this down objectively. So the camera itself is a really nice icon. It's got some nice geometric shapes, nice smooth lines. It feels, I've seen someone mention, very friendly, and I definitely agree with that description. It's got really nice balance and it works really well as an icon. It makes sense for Instagram to move away from this vintage vibe of the Polaroid camera, because when Instagram first started, it was an app that was about putting filters on photos to make them seem all vintage and hipster, But these days Instagram is more about sharing beautiful imagery, be that photos or videos. So I can see that they've designed this new icon to represent that new direction that Instagram has moved in. Even though I think they were trying to move away from that vintage vibe, to me this icon kind of reminds me of the new Instax Polaroid cameras, with its curvy shape. I don't know. I kind of like that. Really though, I think what they were going for is that this new camera icon kind of reminds you of a smartphone camera with the lens and the flash, So that's a better representation of how people actually use the app these days. The next part of this icon that everyone's talking about is the gradient. Now, I personally don't hate gradients. I think they can actually look really nice when they're done well, but I'm just kind of surprised that Instagram went with one for their icon. I think the gradients are a design trend that have been around for quite a while now. I think they probably came about with Apple's iOS 7. It's just been done a lot, and I think it's kind of late for Instagram to hop on board with it. It just seems a little bit strange. I would expect them to be more leaders in the design industry than trend followers, if that makes sense. A designer that I really respect called Tobias van Schneider made a video talking about this new Instagram change as well, and he mentioned that gradients are not really ownable because they are a trend, so that's why it's kind of strange that Instagram has decided to include this as part of its brand. He also commented in his video, which I will link down below, you should definitely give it a watch, that he reckons that this gradient will probably disappear in the next year or two and they'll go with something else, so it will be interesting to see how this progresses over time. I do really like the colours of this though, even though it is following this trend, and to me it kind of reminds me of a light leak. I don't know why my brain just keeps trying to put these vintage vibes back onto this obviously not vintage anymore Instagram icon, but I don't know, that's just what I think when I look at it. I do like how they've applied this branding system to the other apps in the Instagram suite though, so you've got Layout, Hyperlapse and Boomerang. They've got the gradient in the background for the Instagram app and then the gradient in the stroke for the others. And that's quite a nice system. It means that Instagram is the main hub where they all come together, and these other three are like the secondary things you can use to create content to post on Instagram. I'm going to leave a link down below as well if you haven't seen it yet to a video that the Instagram team put out about this icon redesign. In the video you get to see a lot of the concepts that they toyed with before settling on this one. Seeing the journey that they went on to design this icon though was really interesting, and it made me definitely appreciate it more, I suppose. And it seems like the team did a lot of work to make this icon the best that it could be for Instagram as it's used right now and moving forward in the future. So they've also updated the app itself, and I haven't heard as much outcry about this. It seems like people are pretty happy with the changes that they made. I really like it. They've gone for a really clean and crisp black and white aesthetic. that means that the content that you post is what stands out most of all. The UI sort of like fades into the background and is there when you need to find it, but it doesn't get in the way of seeing the content. I'm really glad that they've kept the handwritten logo up the top of the app because I think that is such a nicely designed logo. I think it's just enough of a nod to the vintage roots, and it would have been a shame to lose it because it has got so much character. All in all, I think that Instagram have handled the rebrand well. They probably expected people to get in a bit of an uproar about this change to an icon because it is such a big change, and that's why they created that video, to take you through the steps of their journey and show you how they arrived at it. Often people who are not designers will look at an icon that's as simple looking as this and think that it was really easy and then not much thought went into it. So I really appreciate, just as a designer, that they showed all of the concepts that they went through and the tiny little micro tweaks that they made and all of the stuff that they tried to settle on the best possible version, because simple is not easy in design, as any designers watching will know. Anyway, this has been my thoughts and my critique of the new design. Let me know your thoughts about it down below in the comments. Let's get a bit of a debate going. It could be interesting to discuss. I'm really interested to see what you first thought when you saw it and what you thought after a few days, because my opinion definitely changed a little bit from that first initial shock to then, you know, sort of accepting it as part of my phone now. Please give this video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. That way you'll be told when I make new videos, which is every Tuesday and Saturday. So I will see you next week. Bye.